Saturday morning, July 30th. We were supposed to crew aboard Lavope in the Dick McNish Classic Boat Regatta. When I looked out the porthole, the bow of the 87-foot powerboat we had tied alongside was up in the air. If the bow is up, it means the stern is down. The realization of this put me in some kind of panic mode. There was a 45-foot sailboat tied outside of the True Blue. I hurriedly got kinda dressed, grabbed my rigging knife, and jumped in the skiff. Stella Maris was on about a 35-degree angle, and her midship decks were awash. With a loud pop, the stern line parted as soon as I touched it with the knife. She instantly righted herself and jumped back on her waterline. Whew, this was too close. They then cut the rest of the lines, towed her out of harm's way, and tied her up. It wasn't over yet. I still had to cut the lines that attached True Blue to my tug. These were 1.5-inch braided Dacron lines, much too big for my knife. I went at these with a sharp hatchet, and True Blue slowly sank to the bottom. My wife Diana wasn't as upset as I thought she would be. This was not a new experience, just another one. This had happened to us before when the Argus sank. A 65-foot Baltic, square-rigged training vessel. You better call Tim and tell him we're not going to make the race. It's almost a relief when these boats are down. You don't have to worry about when they're going to sink. However, it's a whole lot of work to get them back up and floating. I had learned how to refloat a vessel when Ron Warren and myself raised the Argus. I will be reposting the video on this. We both learned a whole lot. With Ron's knowledge of raising vessels and my knowledge of vessel construction, we were able to bring the Argus up fully intact. The Argus was 65 feet and about 35 tons. True Blue is 87 feet and over 60 tons. It would take about 4 weeks to get True Blue up and unsunk. Of course, we're not going to be able to fit that all on one video. If you're willing to stick it out, you will learn something about hydrodynamics and how a boat is refloated, along with some other questions you might have, like how did the boat sink so fast in the first place? This is how I spent my after-COVID vacation, an adventure in salvage diving. Because the Argus's hull was so bad, I had taken all the fuel oil and lube oils off of the boat. So when she sank, she wasn't a pollution risk. True Blue had 2 big engines with lube oil in them, and fuel tanks with we didn't know how much fuel. I had noticed that my neighbor Paul Gillen with Associated Pacific had a stack of containment booms. Paul was away on a long-awaited and very well-deserved vacation in Europe. I didn't want to bother him, so I borrowed the booms without asking, like any good neighbor would do. The booms were the perfect size and length. I had the boat completely boomed off in less than 20 minutes, so that no debris or oil could escape. I knew the oil would eventually come out though, so I needed to devise a way to collect it. Well, it was off to Home Depot to get trash cans and submersible pumps and try to figure out some kind of Mickey Mouse skimmer. What we did here is we took some foam pipe insulation and tie wrapped it to the rim of the trash can. This would keep the rim of the trash can above the waterline. Then we cut 2 gates in the rim. This would let the floating oil into the skimmer. We put weights and the submersible pump in the bottom of the trash can. This would pump the clean water out and create a current to let the surface water in. Then we would ladle off the oil and debris and put it into buckets. Then we would dump the buckets through a strainer and into a water and oil separator. Luckily, the oil wasn't coming out of True Blue very fast, but we had to tend this constantly while we worked to get True Blue up and her fuel fills and vents above the waterline. Much thanks goes here to friends and volunteers who diligently worked at this and recovered over 300 gallons of diesel fuel that would have gone into the bay. The next step was to dive on the boat and make an assessment of how we were going to bring her back up. True Blue had gone down right on the wreck of the already sunken Argus. Yeah, we were stacking them up, but this would make refloating the boat easier than it would have been if she would have gone down in the mud. I could tie the barrels onto the props and shafts, and I could get straps under the forward part of the keel. True Blue had been abandoned on me 5 years ago. There was no insurance on the boat. I absolutely did not have the money to hire Ron or any other salvage diver to help me raise the True Blue. I would have to raise True Blue myself with the help of friends and volunteers, using what I'd learned from Ron Warren when we raised the Argus. One of the first friends I called was Ron Warren to ask for his advice and see if he would rent me the equipment. I found out Ron had sold his business and was on a long-awaited and well-deserved vacation motorcycling through Scotland and Ireland. Man, I want to go on vacation too. But nope, no way. I have a lot of work to do. This video and many more are brought to you by the Maritime Preservation Trust. We are documenting the knowledge and creating an avenue into the maritime professions. Please don't forget to subscribe and check out our website.